Hi, welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia. Tony is working on a bit of a project right now and is predisposed and unable to join us. However, I've been doing solo for a very long time, so it's kind of weird getting back to that sort of thing, even for a few days. But anyway, we have the magnanimous and wonderful Hugh Charlson with us tonight, and I know Hugh to be a very not solution-oriented individual. I know him to be absolutely driven to solutions, and I know we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, and I'm really looking forward to the show in more ways than one. Hugh, so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, and last night, of course, when you popped in.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for having me. It's so important these times to be solution-oriented and to drop the fear and let go and let God when we can't handle things, because that's who's truly in charge. We're just here looking for our passion and for the direction that we can get from Him when we find it. So that's where I hope some people will begin from the beginning of this show to look within themselves and be solution-oriented, understand that there really are two things that religion is not telling you, but spirituality does through Jesus, and that is to put God first before anything, and second, love your neighbors yourself. If you can do that for your whole life, you're going to be having wonderful life and good rewards. It may not be easy, but just keep that in mind, because that will keep you on the right path.
And that's most of the trouble that people have, is getting led off on wayward paths here. And regardless of what people deem to be God or Creator or whatever you deem that essence to be, I refer to it strictly, or primarily, not strictly, but primarily as creation. And we're all a part of it, you know. We are created, so anyone that denies that is, you know, got some issues. But you're so right, Hugh. The measure of what's going on around us is only the direct measure of what's happening inside us. And you know, I look back over you know, the choices I've made in my life to do what I do, and these most certainly were not easy things and easy choices to make, but it was a simple one, and the simple truth is to decide to fully stand in truth at all costs. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right all the time, but I'm sure looking in that direction of define truth, because every truth that we know is only a half-truth. In a duality realm that we live in, you know, an example of it's true that cannibals, like, you know, will eat people, and that's very true to them and normal, whereas for me that's not true. You know, so again, it's all about perspective, and again, it is about loving your neighbor. And when you start seeing your neighbor as the creation, or, you know, God personified, we are all essences of that, then you will start to understand what it means to serve. And here's the funny part. This is, for me, the solution is so easy. If we get into a mindset of service to others, are we not serving ourselves anyway? Because when everyone gets into that mindset and starts developing, you know, we lose the competition aspect, we lose the greed, we lose the lust, we lose the control, the power, and all the rest of it. And what we end up with is exponential creation to a degree that mankind has, well, again, I can't speak for the eons past, but that level of creation, it boggles my imagination to see how big we as a race can be, you know?
You're exactly right. I mean, if people will just reflect upon, since the beginning, it's been all control, conquer, and divide. But, you know, I laughed all through the 2012 scenario, December 21st, 2012, where, you know, the world's going to end and this and that. I constantly said, I already know when the world's going to end for each and every person on the planet. That's when your mission is finished and God calls you home. The big question is, are you ready? And so now we have the new energies, and what are we doing with them? We don't have to repeat history. History repeats itself because we've let it, but now we can go to a whole new paradigm of unconditional love. Love is the most powerful energy. Love is God. and the elites can't stand that, and they don't know how to handle that. And I'm not talking about the hippy-dippy love that I grew up with back in the 60s or whatever. I'm talking about agape love, respect, honoring your neighbor as yourself, and dropping the racial baloney, getting into the community, being active, and just helping one another. I authored a poem. I have a self-taught expertise of what I term creative utilization of information. It's a very powerful concept. It's not difficult. It's just, again, taking actions and learning from those actions. But this little poem I authored when I was out in nature, I think I was trout fishing, just enjoying a beautiful day, and it just came to me, as some things will. And when it can be a little thing, but it can develop into something quite profound. And this poem is only 3 lines long. It's titled Caring, Sharing. And it sort of sums up what life should be all about. It reads, if you dare to care, then share. If you share, pay heed. God will reward every good deed. Now, later on that year, and this can be seen on a blog, creativity777.com, on December 19th, 1983, President Ronald Reagan proclaimed the day National Care and Share Day, and you can see the actual proclamation on that blog I just mentioned. I sent the poem to him, and it's in the President Ronald Reagan Library. Now, I'm taking this poem to a whole new place for mankind to look at and to see what they can do on their own. I'm putting it out for somebody to take control over for a licensing opportunity, and that then this poem can be sub-licensed by profit-making and non-profit companies, organizations, and put on items like T-shirts and coffee mugs and posters, translated and go all around the world, and a percentage of all sales of these items through the sub-licensing agreement go to help the people of Haiti who can't help themselves. Now that is a whole new way of thinking. It will show how just a few words going all around the world can empower people who can't help themselves, and there's giving and getting back at the same time. So it's a beautiful circle of love. And these things are achievable if we just learn that we all have unlimited creativity and start thinking, why do you want to live in somebody else's world? I've had all kinds of jobs and worked in many different places. As I speak, I'm just reflecting on a donkey little contract security job that I had where they put more and more controls on you and this and that. I was in a patrol car. I was the lieutenant on the site, training guards constantly that they just weren't the right kind of material for that site or whatever, but they wanted me out in the open in the patrol car, but I had to teach them the paperwork and stuff. My boss's boss came by and saw me sitting in the car and then came by another 20 minutes. I get my boss coming over to me telling me this baloney, and I said, look, if he's questioning what I'm doing, he could have come over here and asked me, and I would have told him, I can take this job and give it to someone else right now, walk right. Oh, no, don't do that. I was way more valuable to them for what I was doing, and I let them know, don't play games with me. I'm following everything that you're telling me to do to the T, and just leave me alone and let me do the best thing I can for you. You hassle me, I'm out of here. You'll take 10 people to replace me. So that's what people have to understand. When you have a job, that's your responsibility too. You are taking that job on the conditions of what you're getting compensated for. But don't let anybody limit you off your hours, or if you're signing contracts that'll limit you, and that's what companies are starting to do now more too with the difficult times. Oh, you're lucky to have a job, and they're going to bully you and boss you, and I love what Yahoo did now. This woman CEO is calling everybody back to the corporation. She's going back into the dark ages. Now these people are going to come in there all disgruntled. They have to commute by car, spending extra money on their gas, getting in there. She might have a few M&Ms as a treat or something for them. But now the bosses are going to be bullying them in there, and they're not going to enjoy their day. They're going to come home all disgruntled, and they'll probably sit down and watch the TV and have a beer, and that's exactly what they shouldn't be doing, as opposed to being where they were comfortable at home, working it into their schedule, probably even going above and beyond what they were being compensated for to just do a fantastic job. So don't limit people's creativity and stifling it with your controls. The companies that will be successful in the future will be empowering their employees, and I have strategies that I'm just releasing now that will do that, and I hope we can touch base on some of those down the road, but I don't want to take the whole floor. I want to let you, Kate, interact and ask me any questions you like, too, along the road here.
I think you're doing great. I'm yapping all the time, so it's that's one of the reasons why I have this platform, to allow people to get on and just go,
Right.
And it is funny how people end up getting overpowered just with sheer logic. And you had mentioned before we went on the air there, we were chatting, that we want to make this an interactive call with listeners. So I'll toss out the number. We do have a caller in right now. I'll bring them in a sec. But for those that want to call in, you can Skype in on the Critical Mass Radio page that you're on, listening to the show. If you don't see the Skype button, you might have to refresh the page to see that. And for those that wish to call in, you may call in at 661-467-2401. That's 661-467-2401. And caller from area code 417. I'm recognizing this number. So who we got?
Hey, Kate.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. It's been a very interesting day.
Well, let's hear your thoughts, my friend.
Well, I go by the name of John Galt. And
I know the voice. And as soon as you said the name, it's like everything goes together. John, how are you? Hugh, we're going to have a blast tonight. We got you and John together. Oh, my God.
How you doing, John?
Hey, how are you? Anyway, I just got on a show, the Ralph Winterroad show on Republic Broadcasting Network, and he was talking about Atlas Shrugged, and he goes, I want to go to Galt's Gulch. He goes, how do I get to Galt's Gulch? And I'm like, you're there. If you choose, you're there. If you want to be there, you're there. We are creating what we desire. The Creator has provided for us, and we have to make a decision. Are we going to accept it or not? Are we going to be the ones that are going to have domain? Are we going to take care of our brothers and sisters? He says, well, we've got all these people out here in the IRS and, whatever it is up in Canada. And I said, well, okay, let's talk about Mark Stevens. He says, empty all the buildings, all the government buildings. Get all the people gone. And what do you have? You have empty buildings. That's the government. It's empty. What the government is people. It's our brothers and sisters. And we have to start talking to them. They're not the government. They're our brothers and sisters. And we have to talk to them and say, what are you people doing? Why are you coming after us? We're your brothers and sisters. We have to stop this. And I think it's that simple. I really do. And there's a great awakening. I've got a gentleman by the name of Hal Dykema out of the States, and he wants to present Santos on a call Is there any way that I can get a hold of Santos?
Oh, I think I could probably arrange that. Carry on for a second. I'll see if I can get him on the line.
But, I think that we're at a point now, I really believe that we're at a point now that there's enough people that are awake, and we just have to say, no, we're not doing this no more.
Well, that's the bottom line. I've said that for so long. It's as simple as, guys, stop signing things. Just stop signing things altogether, and the whole system collapses as a net result. It is that. I know that sounds ridiculously simple, but all the money, the debt that is created, has to be hypothecated. That's the whole system is built on our consent and our willingness to throw our intent in the physical form called a signature or a signature. I can go on. It's your sine wave, right? Everything is a sine wave. It goes so deep. I was having chats with people earlier today regarding etymology and word structures, and we have been taught so well to be spellbound in the form of letters and shapes and squiggles that we forget to hear the words. And in the beginning, there was the word that came first, and then something about God created light that came second. So the fundamental here is they've got us looking at the creation at mercy to our, at effect to the creation instead of being cause over it. And in the beginning there was the word, and that's the spiral, WHIRRED. So again, it's about.
Hey, Kate.
Yeah.
Hey, Kate. Let me, and don't take this wrong, but you made a statement. You said they.
Well, they is me, right? They is me.
Okay,
yeah.
And that's where I think that's where the danger comes in, is that we say they or we say the government. Well, who is they and who is the government? It's our brothers and sisters.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Don. I just speak to the people in a language they can grasp to get the concept.
No, and I understand.
Yeah, you know that.
And I understand that. But I've been corrected that way myself, and I want to correct people when they say things like that, because that's a that's putting a differentiation. That there's something there's something different than we are, and they're not. And we have to grasp that, and we have to say, no, hey brother, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? I'm living here in peace. I didn't cause any harm to anybody. Why are you doing this to me? And I think that if we put it in that light, I think that we're going to get a response of, I'm just doing my job. Well, you know what? Don't do your job, because that's really not your job. Your job is to protect us. Your job is to defend our freedoms. That's what we hired you for. If you're not going to do that, then, are you familiar with Jack Bauer?
Name sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, he's had his own little talk show for years, and he's hell on wheels. He does not like police or any law enforcement, but he's got a show now on Republic Broadcasting. Well, Jack sent me a circular 2 days ago that came from Maine. It was probably Maine law enforcement, whatever. And it was the whole subject of the circular was sovereign citizens, and it was a circular meant for law enforcement. And I sit here and I'm reading this and I'm going, okay, so they're saying if you think that you have somebody that might think that they're a sovereign citizen, don't pull them over until you have backup. and make sure that your backup is vectored in a certain manner with long gun ready. And I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. This is my brother. This is my sister. They're reading this stuff. They're being told this is what to do. This is sick. And I think that we need to reach out to our brothers and sisters and say, look, guys, you guys are getting fed a bunch of crap. And if you believe this, you know, you're putting yourselves in danger. Who would do that?
Well, that's an easy one. When I refer to they, I'm speaking of the psychopathic element that has decided to leave the human race, and in that light, what we're dealing with. I saw the same circular, by the way, and I'm looking at it, going, you know, they're actually trying to teach a course, and the whole thing about sovereign citizen is laughable. It's an oxymoron because you can't be both. You know, you're either sovereign or you're a slave citizen. And
yeah, I actually said that to a state highway patrolman. He asked me if I was part of the sovereign citizen movement, and I said, well, that came down from government. And I go, if you really think about it, it's an oxymoron. Do you know what an oxymoron is? I said, how can you be a king or a queen and be a slave at the same time? Doesn't make sense. So
then you get a lot of blinking and a bit of worrying and whizzing and blank looks and then they go back to get more programming. But I will say this, guys, you know, and I do pass this on. A lot of the times when you're dealing with these quote law enforcement robotons unquote, your life is in danger, and I mean that in the truest sense. Your life is actually in danger. You've got steroid pumped, testosterone driven, low IQ jarheads that have an attitude. Someone told them they were God, and they like to enforce that. And they're out having a penis length measuring contest every minute they're out on the road. And you know, you challenge them in any way, shape, or form, your life, I'm telling you, is in danger. So best to get educated and be polite. And that's the irony, too. I mean, they did the setup with Jerry and Joseph Kane a few years back. I covered the story extensively, showing that it was an actual hit designed to go after Jerry and Joseph Kane because of the work he was doing, you know, nullifying mortgages across America. And when you see the way the actual layout of the two cops that were taken down was, they were running away. They were on the other side of the vehicle based on the one video, and of course they had to reshoot the thing further down the ramp, no less, 2 weeks later, to make the movie a whole lot more believable. And my feeling is, based on the trajectory of when Jerry jumped out of the car, Joseph was out of frame already, and he jumped out with a rifle. He was running towards the hill off the side of the off-ramp, which is contrary to, you know, a couple of cops being downed in the street. And quite frankly, it was a hit in order to demonize and vilify any peace movement, because with that setup that they did, they sold it, of course, through the media, with the chief actually sacrificing his own son. Whether he knew that or not is irrelevant. But the bottom line is this: that was a complete setup in order to give them. So, and if you look at that circular that was going around, that was exactly the key thing they focused in on, you know, because, you know, cops have been killed by these sovereign citizens. No. If you remember, they were actually Jerry and Joseph in a completely different colored van were gunned down at a Walmart. And if you see the original 9-minute video, I'm not sure about you, but if a cop was totally nervous about somebody, they wouldn't be letting them go back and forth to the van to get drinks out of their, super big gulp. You know, it was
Kate,
yeah.
I was online that night when that happened, Angela Stark, we pulled together, we pulled it apart. We were on. I sent out. God knows how many things that I sent out to various media outlets, and we called them on the carpet. That was an absolute, that was a murder. That was an outright murder. We know it. We saw it. We picked apart everything that they've had. Jerry's common law wife, if you want to call it that, lived in fear for her life. I don't know where she's at. I've talked to her before, but I don't know where she's at right now. But that was an outright, just a cold-blooded murder. And it was totally uncalled for. And but the people were involved, and I think that's where they're losing it, because we called them on the carpet the very same day. And it was incredible, the amount of people that came out and said, "No, you're wrong. This is not the story." And I think that we just need to be more proactive with this. We have to understand, mainstream. Actually, Michael Rivero revealed the other day that Rasmussen came out and said, "Oh, the alternative media has taken over the mainstream." Have you heard that?
Well, I already assumed that anyway, because anyone I talk to online, none of us are dealing with meat stick media at all.
Well, I won't even turn it on.
No, it's a joke. I mean, you might as well turn on a sitcom as turn on CNN.
No, well, go turn on a cartoon.
Well, yeah, you'd get more truth out of a cartoon than you will out of CNN.
I mean, it's kind of this point, and I think that we're there. I think that we're there, and I think that the people that are listening in on this call need to have the confidence. And you need to stand up and say, "No, I'm not doing this anymore." And you don't have to be a belligerent. You don't have to be a combatant. You just peacefully say, "No, I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah, there was a great video posted around on Facebook today with David Icke doing a talk. Over in England, there was a abused child rally, and what a beautiful speech, and that's exactly what it was saying. You've just got to say, "I've had enough," and we are the ones that are allowing this to occur and allowing our brothers and sisters who are doing this to us for a paycheck. And it's time to hold them to the fire and say, we're trying to make a better future for not only our own children, but yours as well. I mean, this is a very small planet. We all have to learn to get along to live here. And I'm tired of being the only species on this planet that has to pay to live here. Something wrong with that picture,
Well, I know that there's a lot of people that are fearful. And I understand the fear, because I've had it myself. But you know what? Hey, what are they going to do to you? Are they going to take you and throw you in jail? Okay? So when they throw you in jail and they give you your one phone call a day, call up your friend and say, "Oh yeah, well, they got me in here. I'm a political prisoner because they're a bunch of chicken shits that they don't want me to be free."
And say
it right in front of them.
Yeah, that's basically what you got to do. You've got to ridicule these people into a sense of compassion. And here's the thing: if they have a heart, they're going to get it. You know. By the way, we do have another caller here.
Yeah, go ahead, bring him in.
Hey, Hugh, what's your comment on this?
Well, these things are going on all the time. I was hoping we might take the show in a solution-oriented way, but I will tell you that I've been arrested from my bed in a setup that was done by a police officer. He's now dead, and people that set me up, others have died. I've had a near-death experience where the police saved my life. There's good and bad in everything. Let's sort it out with the truth and the transparency. We can talk about incidents all day long, but let's go more towards solutions in the show, I hope, tonight, please.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that, Hugh, and that's why I'm pulling you right back in, because that's where I want to go. The outline that we just covered there is to bring some reality in what we're dealing with, and now we're going to talk about how we deal with it with compassion. And you're right. I mean, many of us have, in my case, kidnapped in front of my house by cops. My house was stolen by cops, SWAT raided. The list goes on. The possessions, all the rest of it. What is the solution to that? Well, am I going to get all, vengeful and the rest of it? No, because I know the pendulum, the cosmic pendulum, swings back. And I would not wish upon them what they've already wished upon themselves, so I will just wait for that pendulum, and it will return. You've already made it abundantly clear, Hugh, and in some cases, people wish death upon themselves. Not that I'd do it for them, but that's their call. They made their choice. That was their solution. So, yeah, let's move into that light.
This whole situation with me is going to eventually develop into a book and a blockbuster movie. I don't want a penny of it. When my story is told, I want it to truly go to help people that really need the help, and this actually has information currently sitting in the White House. How does that grab you? And I have a copy of a letter from the chief of police who told me in a brief letter that he received a copy of the letter that I sent to him from President Obama with a note on it to him, and that as far as he was concerned, there was a hearing. I was found not guilty, and he didn't see any misunderstanding on the part of the police and wished me the very best. When I responded to that letter with all the documents and said I was copying the White House on this, everybody just wants to run the other way. And this was months before President Obama's friend, Professor Henry Louis Gates, was arrested trying to get into his house up in Cambridge. They had Beergate with the president, the police officer, Professor Gates, and the vice president that accomplished absolutely nothing. And I was trying to be a part of that. If I could have at least gotten 2 points across, I would have said when the police come knocking, you don't argue, you just cooperate, otherwise you're going to get tasered and have all kinds of additional charges trumped up on you, and just drop the racial baloney, because we don't need that anymore.
Well, and Hugh, you're absolutely correct, and that's I think that's the message that we're trying to get out to people. But I think that the time has already come where the actions that you took, you sent them information. I've sent my governor information. I've sent the Attorney General of the United States, Secretary of State of the United States, IRS Commissioner. I've sent them personal letters. And I think that is the point that it's coming to if the people realize, hey, we just have to notify these people.
Have you gotten responses?
Oh, no, but that's the interest. That's the interesting point. Yes. I have not gotten responses, so they've accepted.
I have gotten responses to many letters, and you can see some on some of the sites when you Google my name. Actually, probably the best site for documents is creativity777.com. That has the copy of the letter from President Obama, look for an article entitled America's New Transformational Economy based upon cows. There's an 18-page PDF file that can be downloaded from that. One of the items is actually a letter to me from the Carter administration, and in that letter they mentioned that they had lost a 23-page letter that I had previously sent to them, so it shows the efficiency back in 1977. There's also a letter from my senator. These politicians will respond with a polite, general letter, and that's it, because they have their agenda, and you're not part of it. So now what we have to do with the solutions is go with the technologies, which are all at hand. They're not being used yet. And I'm a member of a very unique and dynamic global platform marketing organization that has all video products. Why don't we hold the local politicians and all the way going back to Washington to use these technologies to address their constituents in a webinar once a week with interaction with the constituents? And if they can't do that, why can't they do that? Get the heck out of office, because you're not representing us. I want to bring up right now quickly, too, a front-page Wall Street Journal article I was written up in, and that can be seen on an interview I did last month, Hugh Charleston's Synchronistic Encounters, and that front-page Wall Street Journal article dated Wednesday, April 27, 1983. I exposed the former federal government bureaucrat for fraud, and I believe he was a CIA operative, and directly and eventually resulted in the resignation of Jim Wright from Speaker of the House. One person. I'm staying as a way shower to show what can be done. Imagine a few people doing it together. But in that article, read it, because it so beautifully describes why we're in the situation we're in. People have been apathetic, non-caring. They just put the lesser of two evils into office, and it doesn't matter anymore what you elect. It's all taken care of in there behind the scenes. In that article, it describes a person who came to this lobbyist through me looking to get retractable boat cleats put on boats as a safety item. The lobbyist said to him, we'll just pass a law and make it mandatory that from now on all manufacturers have to have retractable boat cleats. These things go on every single day in Washington. Why do you think when the health care came through, that was supposed to be transparency? Nancy Pelosi says, let's pass it and see what's in it. All the pork and crap that's involved in that the people are totally not knowledgeable of this stuff. You take the simplest item, and I'm all for safety, but you take the automobile seatbelt when that became mandatory, how many millionaires were made on that one little item, let alone all the pollution add-on control and planned obsolescence built into everything that they keep passing laws for. We don't need more laws. We need more solutions. I'm waiting for the Gestapo squad to knock my door down and arrest me off my throne for using too much toilet paper. When is it going to stop, people?
And that's exactly the point. You know, what is your? I'm talking to everyone out there. What is your breaking point? Is it going to come to that? Is it going to have to, well, that's just one more little law here, and that's what, are you waiting for a bylaw in your city that says you can only blow your nose on every other Tuesday and between 3 and 5 p.m.? Do you know, I mean, it is getting that ludicrous. It is getting that ridiculous.
Group police in New York with Mayor Bloomberg. I had a comment on that on a show recently, because I said he's only standing in his own truth as short as he is, because he didn't eat his string beans when his mother told him to. So now he wants to be an example of telling everybody else what to do in their lives.
Well, it's a Napoleonic complex with that moron.
Right,
so
exactly.
Hey.
Well, I mean, I think the simple solution is just what we've been talking about. You just say no and say, I'm not going to do this.
No, you reverse it, put the spotlight on them and ask them what the heck they're doing. We put them into office, and why are we putting them in? During the election, we should have been asking. I said this all the way through the presidential election. Every time you come in, I'm sorry?
There's another issue that we have to take care of, because you're assuming that you are a citizen of the United States.
Yeah, you can put
Now,
labels or
now
whatever.
we're talking.
I'm a spiritual being. Okay, I don't care if I'm sovereign or what. I'm here for a reason, and we're all here for a reason. So you can put whatever label you want on it. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?
Well, and I understand that, but
I just
okay.
throw this out just to give you an example, because you keep talking about different things. I have a gentleman. I never met him until last fall. He came to me because I interacted with him on a radio show. He's out on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. If there's anybody in the world that needs our attention and our help, it's this gentleman and the people that he's representing, his elders. They've had everything taken away from him. Everything that we have here in this country is because of them, because they fed and took care of the first people that came over from Europe. And what did they do to these people? They genocided them. He's hanging on by a thread from thousands of years of traditions passed down word of mouth. That's how they do it. And I'm standing in solidarity with them. You want to test the law of attraction. This man, I don't have the money myself. On 2 different occasions, I sent him $200. He doesn't take a penny for himself. It's all to help his elders and their families. I sent $200 one time. Out of nowhere, I got somebody that sent me a check for $500 that I wasn't expecting. Another time I sent $200 when he needed it. I got $500 from a daily number. I just happened to play and hit it that day. So the law of attraction, if you want to test it, go on hughcharlson.wordpress.com and click on where it says Hugh's interested in helping all, and you'll see this gentleman's name, this Lakota Indian, Chanupa Gluhamani. Send $5 if you want to test it on the smallest scale, a Starbucks thing, but that's where you start. That's the spiritual way. It's not about anything else. These people they're more deserving of anybody, and all they want to do is be left alone. They've had everything taken away from them. They can't even hunt their buffalo anymore.
Yeah, it's gotten, and I know where you're going too, John. That's we're gonna be trimming, split hairs here. So let's we just stay the course in terms of solution. There are no such thing as citizens. They're all fiction. It's all bullshit. We do have a caller on area code 928. If you wanted to chime in, here's your chance. I've had your mic open for a while. So any questions or comments? Area code 928. First 2 numbers, 25.
Sometimes they like to listen.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's just someone who wants to listen in. So I'll.
They know how to push the 1. Do you get the light when they push the 1? Or?
No, I just bring everybody into the call. That's kind of my standard thing. This is their radio show. This belongs to all of us, right? So all I do is open the floor. That's it.
Well, again, I just want to go solution-oriented. Cisco Systems did a study and said by 2014, which isn't far away, almost all internet traffic is going to be videos. So as they look at us, let's look back at them. Keep following the money trail. Keep rooting out the corruption. That's why I'm starting at the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, because his people have been corrupted so badly, and I want to help him and start rippling out around the country and around the world, because this is a global genocide for these indigenous people, and women also have been suppressed for far too long. And in their cultures, the grandmothers are the key. The chiefs take the orders from the grandmothers.
Well, that's the whole thing, and that's what the whole legal system is based on. The power of the female. That's I keep bringing the word register up just one more time for everyone. The word register regis means to rule, Latin, and any word with stir in it is a creative feminine spiritual essence. I'm talking about pure creation itself, and that's why they want everything registered, because they want to control the creative feminine spiritual essence of all, because we are both, all of us. I mean, there is electromagnetic, positive, negative, masculine, feminine. Everything has all of those elements in it, and what they've been wanting to do is to control that. And the true power, you're absolutely right, is within the matriarchal or the matrix, the matrix. And that's one of the things that we have been focused on, myself, for years. And Tammy Pepperman so eloquently lays it out, and she has laid it out in such a way that people can understand it and deal an effective death blow to any of these jokers called judges, or they call them judges. They're actually priests working in the same court church as they did in times past, because that's where the courts were, right? It was always ecclesiastical. It's all based in ecclesiastical. But so that's a solution that we've come across already, and it is about getting back to the power of the Mother Creation, where it has been literally robbed from humanity, and we're getting it back. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I've done work with Kevin Annett over the years, have worked within the Indigenous peoples here in Southern Ontario is what they call it. And I've seen things and experienced things and heard stories that would, curdle your blood with things that went on with the Indigenous children at the reservation schools. Pathetic, disgusting. Well, here, let's talk about some solutions that have happened. Well, on February 11th, we had the Pope run for the hills, and he's now out. Queen Elizabeth, all of a sudden, she gets the charges came out from Kevin Annett's tribunal, and there's a lot of other things coming in. Not one can take the credit. This is the collective credit for all of us taking a punch at these guys, and they're finally seeing it. All of a sudden the Queen gets gastrointestinal whatever. I think they call it the shits. You get the runs or whatever. But anyway, she she's off to some hospital and had to cancel her trip to Rome. And then you have this other Keith O'Brien guy finally saying, okay, my sexual conduct was, less than what was expected of me. And I'm thinking, buddy, it should be what was less than expected of yourself. Here they are still throwing it off to, well, I did something wrong and someone else expected different. What did you expect, dickface? What part of raping a child can't you see is wrong? What part of that is somehow, okay with you? And this is what we're up against. And what's happening, this is being brought into the light, and this is what we have to do. That's our solution, is saying, I've had enough, and guess what? We're going to drag you out into the light, and hey, what's the easiest way to kill a vampire? I mean, you can try to run a stake through their heart, or you just drag them out into the sunshine. So let's drag them out into the happy sunshine and watch them burn. Because, again, evil cannot stand to be laughed in its face, and that's what we need to do. We need to lose the fear, get in gear, and start laughing these guys out of existence. They're pitiful. These are the demons within us that we're trying to clean off. These are our own parasites, and it's up to us to heal ourselves. And these aspects of ourselves need to be brought into the light to be healed or destroyed, one of the two.
Exactly.
Hey,
there's a church I was married in. I'd like to share the website. I think you'll find it fascinating based on just what you said. It's the letters SM like Michael, WA.org, smwa.org, and there was a seer back in 1970. This is the Catholic Church. She's saying that the Pope is right at the top, the Satan's right at the top of the Catholic Church. Very extensive site. You'll even see miraculous photos on that site that are quite extraordinary. And to this day, still when they have vigils and people take pictures, unexplained images appear on the photographs when they're developed. So I hope you'll enjoy that.
You?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to your little dissertation there about the indigenous population, probably in America, called the American Indians, whatever, and how they have been stripped of ownership of any land. Well, I can tell you right now, Kate has had the same thing happen to her, and I have had the same thing happen to me. And I'm not one of that party. But the same thing has happened.
That's where we're together here looking to unite.
So we can't localize it to a portion. No, this is happening to people all over the world.
That's exactly right. But I'm going there first because he has absolutely more heritage to preserve than we do, and they have the things that we need for our future that we can learn from them, and they're so good-hearted, they're still willing to help if they could just be left alone and let us learn from them.
Well, and I understand that. But at the same time, you have to understand that there are other people that are in the exact same situation, and
I know that.
Let's go back to the Declaration. If it's true, all men are created equal. So let's not make any division. There's no division.
It's a starting point to root out the corruption. A starting point.
Well.
Yeah, it's a bit of split hairs here. I'll meet you guys both in the middle on this. Yes, absolutely. And here it is, the proof that once the usefulness of a certain element. Well, when you think about the Europeans coming here, all of us were used to the degree that we were able to, steal all the land. Now what's happening is those that helped aid and abet in that crime are having the land stolen from them. So once the usefulness is over, everything is ripped away, and this is exactly what's going to be happening with cops and military and all the rest of it. Because once these useful idiots, and that's all they are really, and I'm trying to be nice about it, that are out there with their low IQs and beating people's heads in, once that usefulness is gone, they end up in the same FEMA camp. So it's kind of ironic. So to meet in the middle there, all men absolutely are created equal. Absolutely, no question. What I see with Hugh is when we came here and stole everything originally, we're just getting our just desserts, basically. So what we need to do is we're experiencing exactly what the indigenous experienced, and now we're standing together, because the only way we're going to solve this planet is if we do it together. There is no other way to put it.
Exactly.
Amen.
That's just how I see it, and I see us gathering. We're gathering in force now. I feel the energy change. I see it. I see it every day online. This world is awakening, and every day, it's not just one or two. It's a percentage of the population is starting to awaken. This consciousness is seeping into the lower vibrating people and pulling them up. The law of nature, the dominant frequency, will prevail, and this frequency is rising and rising, and as a net result is pulling those lower vibrations by law up. And I tell you, that's exactly why people like the Queen is suddenly tuck and tail, the Pope is hightailed it, Queen Beatrix she's abdicated. There is so much stuff going on right now that is not deemed to be, quote, normal, unquote. So there's definitely something in that they're not liking, and this energy is forcing their hand. I'm loving it.
Can we go to the corporations, because they're the ones that are feeding all this stuff, the big corporations?
Well, absolutely. That's the fiction world that was papered over the whole planet, that we need to remove that third-party fiction that somehow, Mr. and Mrs. Bank of America, I've never met them. Oh, wait a minute, it's a corporation. It's a fictitious entity. Yet we bow to the Bank of America or Morgan Chase or the Fed Reserve. There's no...
not anymore.
No,
not anymore.
No.
I think that what the people have to realize is that we have actually entered the age of Aquarius.
Bingo.
And that what happened in Pisces is over.
And speaking of astrotheology, Santo did get back to me, and he's down with a bit of flu right now. Otherwise, he'd be jumping in with us. So, but I did pass a message along, John. So, do I have you on Skype, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure you get his contact, and you guys can yabber back and forth. Okay.
But I think that people really need to understand that there is a change, and the change isn't by the people, it was a change in the planets. And they really do have an effect on us.
That's above, so below. Absolutely. Why do you think I follow it so closely? Because what's happening within me is happening up there. So it's one universe.
If you go back through history, if you study history at all, what do you find constantly? Astrology, astronomy, whatever you want to call it. It's constantly there. Why? Why?
Well, we need a roadmap. It's a hell of a complicated. It's like traveling somewhere without a map, and the stars are the map, and that's above, so below. Everything matters to everything in the universe. We're all connected to source. Everything, every atom, every energy, every electron, everything is connected to source.
Amen.
It's pretty easy.
I agree.
It's a very basic science. Once you get that concept, and you kind of go, oh, wait a minute. You are my brother and sister. I love you. The measure of love of ourselves is the measure of love we can have for others. It took me a long time to learn that.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
When you finally come to that realization, when you go, oh, well, yeah, that's my brother, that's my sister. It's not a big deal. Hey, instead of calling the government, call up Sue and say, hey, Sue, what's going on? Why are you doing this?
Well, that's exactly
You're not calling the government. You're calling your brother or your sister.
You're calling your neighbor. Dave Icke said it perfectly in his little speech today. He says, you take off the uniform, you take off the title of these individuals, you take them out of that job, and where is their power?
I'll give you a good example. When I was functioning as an international independent marketing consultant, my wife took a call. It was from a billionaire I was interacting with, calling from his yacht somewhere, and she was all nervous and handed the phone to me quickly. I was in my underwear when I took the call, and it went beautifully. And when I finished, I told my wife, remember, from now on, every time I get a call from a billionaire, to make sure I'm in my underwear, so we're on equal footing. They all function bodily the same way we do. They may have a little bit more education in one area or another, and maybe they did some things behind the scenes that weren't too nice or whatever, but there again is the karma going to sort itself out. And what you should do is just be upfront, honest, transparent, ethical, moral, legal, and force these corporations to be more responsible for their employees, their customers, the environment, and the community. If they can't do that, I don't see them being around long when the masses truly wake up and understand that election day is not certain days, but every day you buy a product, you're actually casting a vote for the company that manufactured it. So if you're buying lead-based painted toys out of China from Walmart, your kids have no choice, but you do. Maybe you can choose again and buy American or from another country that has better quality and doing better things. Hello?
Oh, I was just waiting for John to jump in there. No problem. I'll talk all night. You know that.
I have no argument with that comment.
No.
Yes, and now the thing that I wanted to say too is that when my parents grew up, it was a whole different world as compared to the technologies that are available at hand today. So where are all these people out for Occupy? They're pointing their fingers. They want the gimme from the government for their education. What happened to self-education? And that's where it's really all at anyway. And you can function overnight today the same as a multi-level, multinational corporation, multi-billion-dollar corporation. You may not have the resources, but you can start pulling together resources just through interacting with people and companies and organizations of all types. When you approach them on the terms of how can I serve you, and find ways that you can do that. I had a mentor that was truly amazing to me, and at one point he said, you use my credentials. And I said, I don't have your credentials. I can't do that. I'm not you. He said, no, you're not me, but you're giving those credentials out, and when somebody takes an interest, you bring them back to me, and if I do business with them, I'll give you a percentage of the business that I did with them. I did that, and it worked beautifully. So there's all kinds of approaches, but people just, if you're looking at other people and being led by they have some wonderful seminars and books, and these gurus like Jack Canfield and all of them, who keep selling you the next greatest book or the next greatest thing. It's time now for the gurus to get off the mountains and interact with the people. Why aren't they collaborating and doing the joint ventures? Why do they keep selling you the next greatest thing? Ask yourself that question, because what they're telling you is readily available from someone else when you start self-educating.
Yeah, certainly a whole lot better than most people self-medicating, and that's the thing too. I mean, we look at our society and what the advertising world has done to dumb down the American nightmare. They call it a dream, but whatever. They sold everyone on the materialism. They sold everyone on patriotism. They sold everyone on rah-rah America and all the nonsense that went with it. And I have to say, the U.S. got hammered the hardest with this bullshit. And they took the freest country in the world. Of course, they had to hammer it the hardest. It only stands to reason. And when you have criminals like Barry Soetoro in office, no one knows who the hell this guy is. We do have some background on him. I was talking to a friend of mine, Brett Stillings, and Barry Soetoro was part of the Chrononaut kids back in the 80s. And this guy has been popping in and out of different groups for quite a while. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming to light very, very quickly, and the measure of fear that they have is the measure of mistakes that they're making, and the desperation with this whole Sandy Hook hoax and Aurora hoax and the recent Chris Dorner fiasco. Apparently this guy was in Mexico on holidays, and they took his transcript for a movie, and they made it. They made the movie. They made a real version of it. In order to sell people on fear to, Second Amendment, get the guns. I mean, honestly, when we really just stop and take a breath and stand back and go, it's just a movie, and what they're trying to do is create our imagination for us. Once we take back our own creative imagination and start seeing within ourselves the world we want to see, instead of having it sold to us on billboards and magazines and radio and television and all the rest of this shit that goes on in Hollywood. I mean, holy mackerel. How many world-ending apocalypses do they need to sell, to try to get this bullshit into the masses? But here's the other thing. The other side of that coin is they're saying, you know what, guys, here, wake up. It's just an illusion. When I see all these things about the zombies, what they're trying to tell everyone is that you are the Walking Dead because you're walking around with a name. It's funny. I was outside today and I said, I ask myself this question many times a day. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right track? Is what I'm thinking real? And of course I look up and there's this truck way off in the distance. I see 3 tomatoes on the side of it, and just as the name comes into view, what does it say on the side of the truck? No name. I said, okay, well, yeah, it means I'm on the right track, because I trust in my present future, right? We're traveling back to the future. This was all created, and we're just traveling back through it on the rebound. We had to create it on the way out. Now we come back and experience it, and then we do it again. That's the ebb and flow, the breathing in and breathing out of creation. And when you pay attention to these clues and you start trusting that intuitive, and you really start looking at it for the joke that it is, it all starts to make sense. And I've had many reasons to doubt everything in my life, with how deeply I was marginalized from my family, my friends, my belongings, you name it. And it's just been nonstop, this onslaught. And all it's doing is it's making me more resolved, and it's making me stronger. I have my down moments, and they are brief in the passing now. I look at it for what it is, and I go, no, I've had worse, and so has somebody else, far worse, so suck it up and move on,
Exactly. Beautifully said. And I love what Iceland did. Why can't we duplicate that around the world?
Well, that's what they're terrified of. Yeah.
Hey, Kate.
Yeah, go ahead.
How can I mute myself?
You're on a phone, right? Okay. Do you have a mute on your phone?
Well, I do, but can I *6 or something?
I have no idea. I can put you on hold here if you want. How long do you want to be on hold?
Well, would you do that, because my daughter just called me?
Okay, well, I'll do that, and tag me on Skype.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll put you back on hold. Just tag me on Skype. You're still on the line, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Sir, it's all good.
Ma'am, sorry.
Actually, Sue used to call me ma'am, sir. It doesn't matter. It's all fun, you know. Come on. All I am is a clue. Go ahead. Talk to your daughter and Skype me when you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. No worries. Oh, I'm just a barrel of fun. I know. It's like I tell everyone, you know, hey, I'm a walking three-way. So, you know, what's your problem? Let's go party, you know. So, but whatever. You know, I take it in stride, and I've had a lot of hard choices to make in my life, and you know, the biggest fear I had was of nothing more than me. You know, this is the irony of it. It's funny. I spent my life on stage, and stage always terrified me. I got to tell you. I mean, I played in bands and, you know, fronting bands and stuff for years, many years, and without fail, before every show, I had to go off and hurl. You know, that's.
You have to talk to me after the show too, because my business partner, actually had a band. He put himself through college, and he actually performed at Woodstock.
Oh, very cool. That would have been a hoot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, just a little claim to fame here. The intro song that you heard.
Is that yours?
That's yours truly.
Oh,
I wrote it, play it, and sang it. You know, okay. So there you go. Yeah. I had this little signed gig down in Nashville once that I threw back at them. But that's another story. I've had the world by the tail if I wanted it many times, and I couldn't sell out. Isn't that funny, eh? And
there are technologies, again, that can empower people very quickly, and this organization that I'm working with is just the beginning for me. I'm a global visionary, but it's, again, up to the individual to understand that we all have unlimited creativity. So if you're going to have to do a 9-to-5 and be in somebody else's world, what are you doing when you come home? And what are you doing for your children and the generations to come? And if you can find your child to find his passion at a young age and get grandma and grandpa involved and start a home-based business, which you couldn't do 50, 60 years ago like you can today, and not have any big investment, and find by the time that child's ready for college, the tuition may already be paid for, or he may choose not to go to college because he's set in a career that you left a legacy for him, and that's a beautiful thing to do for the future. And you know, it doesn't take that much effort, and that's the kind of involvement that the children need today too. If you leave them up to the toys and the peers, that's where they get into trouble.
Yeah, see, and there's the. I had that all set up for my kids, and it was.
Hello? I don't know who dropped. I don't know if I'm still on or not.
Well, how about that? Yeah, it never fails, you know. And by the way, if I go quiet like that, it's because I got zapped and hacked. So never fails.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime I talk about the Goonies and Guelph, you know, the chief of police, former, by the way, he got his ass handed to him because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants as far as his ego. But
we'll do it right there. I mean, I just let them know that you know they're being judged like I'm being judged. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All it tells me is, making you nervous. I am so happy.
Well, see, what I am is the rising in the Phoenix. I already died and came back, so
me too.
They're even more afraid of me because I challenge them. I've said this on many blog talk shows that you know the fear goes on the elites now because if God has harmonics, and when God's harmonics come, if you're in the right kind of heart-to-God alignment, you'll be perfectly fine. But if you're an elite, you can be sitting on your yacht over in the Mediterranean, and you may spontaneously combust or explode. The same thing if you're in an underground bunker somewhere, because God's harmonics will go where God wants them to go, but you can change your ways and live a little longer by caring and sharing and doing the right thing by people. And somebody said, aren't you afraid of retribution? I said, retribution for what? I didn't do anything wrong. They did. If they want to take me out with a hitman, I'll eat the hitman's brains out from the spirit world. Be quite painful. I'll be a little more gentle on him than the guy who hired him. I'm still saying it for over a year.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing is, if people, and I've said this before many times, and anyone that's ever downloaded shows have heard this a couple of times, if you want to understand what being untouchable is, then just stand in truth. Follow your heart completely. Do not yield it. You know the voice that tells you that something is right or wrong, or someone's going to get hurt or not.
Well, I've lost family members and things too, and I've told family what I'm doing, and if they can't handle it, then handle it whatever is most comfortable for them. But I have to do what I'm doing, and the same family members that moved away will quietly discuss in the background abortions and things or whatever, and that's keep it all secret in the family. Like, that's the way to live.
Yeah, and for anyone listening too, see, I don't have a choice doing this. I don't. I gave up that choice when I decided to stand in truth, and there's nothing that I can think of doing. People say, well, go and play music again and make a living and all the rest of it, and I said, no, I can't do that. I can't. I mean, if I'm going to play, I'm going to play because I want to, not because I have to. And that's the way I've always treated my life. I didn't care if I was paid at a gig or not. And anytime I was paid, it was because I had to haul gear, and I was never paid to play. That was free. That was a part of me that people never got. But the thing is, I don't have a choice in this. I just can't walk away now, because the niche that I have, and this is mine, this is for me, is I know what my heart is, and I know deep within my heart that if not me, then who will do what I'm doing? No one, because I'm specifically geared to do this.
Well, I did want to say that money is also energy, and if you shouldn't have an objection to making it. And if you'll speak with me after, I'll tell you some of the things that we're doing. That all you have to do is introduce some of these strategies to people, and it'll keep building a cash cow under you, and then you can use that for whatever way you want. So that's a lot of what I'm looking to bring out to people too. That do what you have to do at work, but don't be totally controlled with contracts and stuff. Use your own free time and talents to help do better things for the mankind.
Yeah, I'm just where I'm at is I have no objection to energy. I just have an objection to the source of it, as far as what it represents. I see ferns as cannibalizing my fellow brothers and sisters, and I cannot do that. And anything that does come to me is all universe sent, and again, for me, it's what is needed, not what is greeded. I live in a dichotomy, Hugh, that is very difficult to explain to people. In as much as I'd love to be able to do more, I'd love to have my own space. I had to give up my dog last week. There are things that I would love to be able to do, but and this is what I was saying about a show last week with Karen McDonald. She was talking about abundance and flow and this and that and the other, and I'm thinking, well, then if that's the case, then what I'm doing is totally worthless. If I'm to gauge it on that, and that's where I run into another dichotomy, because I know what I'm doing is not worthless, but I'm not doing it for gain either. It's kind of a catch-22. It's a really tough one.
I'll put it to you this
explain.
way, because
sure.
I've used my creativity from my experiences, and that's how we empower ourselves from taking actions and learning from those experiences. But on July 11, 2011, I invented the first product I know of its kind. I'm bringing it from the spiritual realm into the physical realm. I offer the basic concept of it free to all mankind to help them with their creativity and spirituality. I call the product a Y-Pod, and this Y-Pod can be utilized on and off the grid. and it can be as simple as an index card file of contacts and opportunities that you empower and give value to by how you interact and network with it. YPOD stands for Your Personal Opportunity Database on the Internet. It can be a website, a blog, or a social media application. Those can be portals to sophisticated computer-coded, pre-qualified global business opportunities that people take control over and keep in their loving circles until they're ready to ripple it out transparently to bless mankind globally.
That sounds wonderful. You know,
it is. This thing, I equate it to when Henry Ford first invented the automobile. At first, you just had basically the Model T, and look at all the different models you have today. I'm looking to interact with people. This has the potential for books, online courses, seminars, and computer software development in many different ways.
Oh, it sounds awesome. You know, yeah, again, with me, I would have to actually probably do a 2-hour show on trying to convey my concept of where I'm at and what I will accept and what I won't. You know, it's like I don't have any bank accounts. I can't even get a post money order if I wanted to because I don't have any ID. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they were talking about getting ID and needing this and that and the other. You know, would that be? And I said, listen. If only one holds this line as far as no ID and has to endure this on behalf, I'm the one puzzle piece in the big puzzle. We're all puzzle pieces, right? So I look at myself as this one puzzle piece that has chosen to put my piece on the table and glue it there so that everyone else doesn't have to worry about having no ID, having no means of income, living totally at the mercy of the universe, totally. And I'm talking when I travel, especially with these. Again, I'm shielded, so it's an untouchable thing. But I'm trying to give people the concept. It's like I just can't go out and something happens. I just can't go and I'll go and do this because I can't. This system, this Babylonian system that we're in, requires the mark of the beast, ID, and I do not carry that. So my piece of the puzzle is this. I, on behalf of myself and all, as my piece of the puzzle, I will not carry an ID. I will not have any bank accounts. I will not commit commerce. I will not commit fraud. I will not do anything involved with system to the degree that it has me in a very, very precarious, hanging by a thread existence where every day is literally a fight to get my voice out there and to bring a platform so that you can get your voice out there and so that listeners calling in can get their voice out there. And this is not a pity party. This is not a victim thing. This is a pure and completely free will choice, determined choice that I have made because I know what my piece of the puzzle is. So what I was saying to this individual was, I've got this flank, okay? You do what you need to because you have something very important that needs to be out there. And you do whatever you need to do within Babylon because I've got that covered. Do you understand?
I think that's wonderful what you're doing, and I am a different puzzle, I guess. But
we all have our own puzzle piece.
Right.
I have figured mine out, and it is gut-wrenching.
For me, I puzzle the puzzle makers because I've been set up so many times, but when they fool with me, it backfires on them. And
that's it. I mean, all the stuff was stolen. I'll give you this. I'm putting it out there for all to hear. All of those people that came and attacked me, all of those people that cannibalized me, and the things that I had that were very special in my life, things that they stole, like my dad's banknote collection. I just got it. This was a few months after he had passed away. All of these things, emptying my bar, emptying all the food out of my house. Stealing, I mean, when I went back there 2 weeks later, I mean, the guys from Allied Van Lines, just a little plug for you fuckers, Allied Van Lines, the guys that were ransacking through my house, decided to help themselves to, I had a fridge downstairs, help themselves to the pop that was in there. Oh, I saw the empty containers, I saw the empty cans, and they just ransacked the house. I have photographs of it. I don't think the Goonies that came in realized that that was one of the main reasons why I went back, to get photographs of the crime scene. And here it is in the ether, my friends, because I love you, in the golden rule. That which you have wished upon me, I wish back upon you. And everything that you took, everything that you stole that could have possessed me, which it did not, is now your curse. And that very house, that was the other reason why I went back. Don't fuck with the Irish, okay? Especially one like me. I kind of know some things, and that house has a curse on it until I return. There is a vortex in there. And there was also other things that were going on that were really kind of cool about that house, exactly where it was. And I was there for a reason, you see. So anyone, they have brought this upon themselves. I would never wish this on anyone. And from that point, I just made it, well, it's going to be someone's free will choice to, accept stolen property, accept being possessed by that stolen property. And anyone, the property agents, all the lawyers at KRMC, all the cops that were involved, the chief, the mayor, all of her staff, the legal department, all of the Goonies that I talked to, all the newspaper people that thought it was a really cool thing to not bother asking for my side of the story and decided to write what the cops told them to write, they're wearing it. And I do not envy it, because I know what it is, and it's not something I would ever wish on myself or anyone else, for that matter. They just wished it upon themselves. So there you go. It's in the ether. It's been there a long time, and I just like to reinforce it every so often, just to make sure that energy of love is out there. And it is out of love, because only when you see the evil of your ways, when it comes back and slaps you upside the head, will you awaken. And this is what I want. I want them to awaken. So may that curse be a blessing.
As long as it's done from love, and I don't curse things, I just let go and let God, and he does a much better job. He's, of course, far more creative than I am, I guess, because of the way I was raised.
I put it into the hands of the universe with that negative energy that they brought upon themselves. Oh, we have a caller. Let's bring him in, Hugh, shall we?
Right, sure.
All right, area code 661, first two numbers 74. Who we got?
Hey, Kate, this is Aaron. How are you doing?
Good, Aaron. How are you?
Fantastic.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Listening to you guys talk. Yeah, I just wanted to add something. I mean, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that nothing that somebody does to us is ever personal. When these, as we call them, the clowns in the circus with their uniforms, when they do things, or anybody in general, it doesn't even have to be somebody that's in government or whatever. Whenever they do something to you or to me, it's never personal. It's always business in their world. And they're only operating based off the information and programming that they've been downloaded. And I do think that's one of the important things for us to realize, is that there is nothing personal when they do these types of things, but it simply is a reaction to what they have been programmed and trained to do and to be. And until they wake up...
Fair enough. Here's another perspective on that, though. Just to carry on your thought here. It is personal, because they have an obligation to understand what they're doing beyond the programming. And I'm speaking from the perspective of, I take it personal when someone waves a 9mm in my face and takes shotguns into my home and points them at my daughter and Sue. That I take personal, regardless of what programming they're running, because when you have people walking around with safeties off, with full lead rounds, that to me is attempted murder. As soon as the safety comes off, that's attempted murder.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, I know you're not defending. I'm just trying. I'm trying to bring another perspective. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Maybe I'm not being clear. I'm not justifying what they're doing. I'm not saying that what they're doing is right. As a matter of fact, we can know that it is morally wrong that they're doing it. What I'm saying is that it's not personal. It's very easy, and I can give you a good explanation for that. But the reality of it is when it's like like you said earlier, I watched the video that you put up of David Icke, and he, like you said, he put it very eloquently. If you take off their uniforms and you take away their titles, and you take away all that, where's their power? So, and he's absolutely correct. They are playing a role, okay? People in the military play a role, and a lot of those people, especially people in the U.S. military that are going overseas, that are fighting in these wars, they have no clue. They think they are doing what is right. They don't have a clue that what they really are doing is working for a corporation that is going over there simply to take over resources. Okay? So the things they're doing to those people, yes, are they going to be hold responsible for those in the universe? Absolutely, because like you said, it is in the ether. But I just think that one of the books I read that really helped me a lot was a book called, and you probably read it, Kate, I don't know, The Four Agreements. And one of the chapters in there that I spent a lot of time reading and meditating on was the fact that there is nothing ever personal. Because nothing's personal. And it's hard for us to wrap our head around that, and especially going through something like you. Now, I never had that happen to me, Kate, so I can totally, I can't say, I know how you feel, because I didn't go through that, and I would not.
But you can get a pretty good idea. Again, these are it's like watching a movie of the same thing. Just by viewing it, you can get an empathic, natural sense about it. So, and again, with me, it's not about drama or victim or all the rest of it. What this is about is to show the experience and the outcome, and from a very, very, very neutral perspective. And I have to say that it was very difficult for me during this whole process because, when I spent so much time, article after article, document after document, emailing all of these people direct. They knew exactly what was going on. I outlined all the fraud specifically, and they all got the information, and that's exactly what scared the shit out of them. But the fact of the matter remains, they're still so dumbed down. They didn't even see the fact that what I presented to them was their own solution to their own situation. I think that was the most frustrating part. Idiots. But anyway, there you go.
Well, Kate, you and I both know that once people are fooled, as the one quote says, it is easier to fool people than it is to convince people that they have been fooled. Okay? And most people are not willing to accept that what they believe is not real. They believe that wholeheartedly that it's real, and it doesn't matter what evidence that you could show them once it's so ingrained into them until something happens to where it shocks their system. And then they realize that, something's not right here. And then all of a sudden, then you may go and do some homework, and then you may realize that, everything I've been taught is a lie, and I've been relying on everybody's story, his story, okay? And then I realized that his story was just that. It was his story that was passed down from somebody else that told us it was his story. And until we wake to the consciousness level that we're going to take personal responsibility for our actions and for what we know. Now, as I was talking to the guy the other day, I says, I don't take anybody's word for anything. I want to know where they got their information from, and then I want to be able to check that, and then check that, and then check that, because the reason why the world is in the way it is today is exactly what we've talked about all along, and it is consent. We have consented to believe whatever we've been told without checking it out for ourselves. We've consented to being dumb and stupid. We've consented to just taking orders. We've consented to put criminals in office. It is simply a reflection of the overall consciousness of mankind, and so we are getting back on us what we've consented to. Now,
I couldn't agree more.
Now I'm at a point where I'm no longer going to consent to that, because that is not what I want the world to be. And the challenge that we have is to get people the understanding and the knowledge and the enlightenment of the system that they actually live in. And because a lot of, George Orwell put it very well. He says people will enjoy their servitude. the best way to enslave people is to have them put the chains on themselves. And that's exactly what we've done. If you talk to most people, they think, people in the States or in Canada, you would still find the vast majority believe that they're free.
Oh, yeah.
That's very sad.
Yeah,
that's not reality.
Those that consider themselves the most free are the ones most enslaved because they've bought their own illusion. It's funny you bring a few of those points up because I've often wondered, with all the people that I contacted within, the Police Services Board, the chiefs across Canada, you name it, blah, 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 I've often wondered, did one or two of those people actually awaken to what was going on? And two, if they did, and they were party to what happened to me, I wonder how personal they're feeling about it now. You see, and you're right, because this has to eventually become their own mirror. And only when something shocks them into that reality, all I am, really, is I see myself, I'm just a catalyst to allow that to occur. Fine, I go through the mill to get here, big deal. Someone's got to do it. Okay, I guess I'm it. And there's many more like me, so I'm not alone in this one. But the bottom line is this: is at what point? And I know that it's not a matter of if. It's always going to be a matter of when. When these individuals, if they do have any compassion of humanity whatsoever, when they finally wake up and realize what they have been party to, and I'll give you an example. The deputy chief of police in Guelph resigned or retired after 3 years. He almost went nuts because that's the thing about being trans. You kind of have, estheticians, right? And the estheticians kind of work on cops' wives, and you get all the inside scoop. And as it came to me was the deputy chief, as soon as he found out what was really going on, he almost became suicidal, that he couldn't get out of the office soon enough. He had to do 3 years in order to get his pension. Now, you can consider that somewhat honorable because he walked away, but the true honor, the true honorable, and I got to say that this guy obviously went into, being a cop for the right reasons. It wasn't just for a paycheck. He thought he was doing something good. And when he found out how the system really worked and that people were just cash cows and that people were getting raped and pillaged all day long, and that was a standard operating procedure for business, he took it personal. And he ended up leaving. But beyond that, he has a personal responsibility because of what happened to me, because he's party to it, because he knew. And I've made it known. So again, these are just about planting seeds. These are yours. These are the weeds that you planted, and you will eat them. I just chose to plant orchards.
Have you read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl?
No, I haven't.
You should read that book. That would help you out. That would be a great inspiration to you. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish man who was in the Jewish concentration camps. And he talks about what he went through, what he saw while he was there. It's an amazing thing, but here's how he was able to survive. The way he was able to survive and to make it through it was he realized that they could not hurt him. Yes, they had him in the concentration camp. Yes, they could not feed him. Yes, they could torture him. Yes, they could torture all the people around him. But they could not control his mind. And when he realized that they could not control his mind, he began to think of what he was going to do once he got out. And what he came up with was, when I get out, I'm going to travel the world, and I'm going to give lectures on what I learned while being in here and seeing what I've seen. It is one of the most influential books I've read that helped me, and this was years ago. But I would encourage you, I think that would help you and encourage you a great deal inspirationally, because he saw a lot and went through a whole lot being in those concentration camps in Germany. And it's a very graphic. He gets pretty graphic in some of those chapters. It's not a very big book either.
Well, definitely, that's the thing about truth, is it never really has to be a very big book.
Yeah.
Unless the concepts are too deep, and then you got to write a few extra chapters to kind of break those little truths down into, palpable bites, right? So, well, absolutely, I'm always willing to have a look at everything because, well, That's what you're supposed to do. You're not going to get an objective viewpoint if you're stuck in one mindset. It's one of the reasons why I like to look at everything, everywhere, all the time. But yeah, the thing is, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. There's nothing I love more than to travel the world and all the rest of it. Problem is with the system, they kind of need names and shit. So I'm kind of, so hey, listen, I got an emergency passport. I've told this story I don't know how many times on my terms. I had no ID, and I made my point very clear. And it was a British High Consulate that said, in fact, that any use of the name is fraud because you don't own it. Your parents gave it up, right?
That's correct.
That is the slavery cell into Babylon. And of course, I've went a whole lot further than that. But just to let
even the UN says that as a human being on this planet, that you do have a right to travel. So it's even in the UN's own documents, it clearly states that, which is kind of interesting because they still require you to have passports and stuff like that. But even the UN will tell you itself that you do have the right to travel.
Well,
again, just a basic human right.
Yeah, again, when we talk about human rights and the wording within the UN charters and everything else, it's still all based in legalese, and it's all it's all corporate. I mean, that's the only reason that Muammar Gaddafi was able to be invaded, because he was part of the United Nations Corporation, so he was part of the fraud, if you will. So this is why I've spent so much time, constantly saying, get out of Babylon. And there's only one way to do that, and that is give up the id entity, that separate thing that was created. It's like the name or the word nam or name is distress. It's chattel. So literally, if someone says, "What's your name?" What's your distress, right? So when you offer that up, you're actually asking them to save you, and they will. They'll give you all sorts of tickets, and they'll, board your vessel and all sorts of shit, right? But that's, with me, it's as I was explaining earlier, I know my particular niche that I have to stand in, and if I'm the only one that's doing it to this extent, then good. Then only one of us has to. We all pick our own pieces of puzzle, because that's how we create this collectively. Because we do this together. There's not going to be one individual that's going to, save the world. It ain't going to happen. We do it together.
Yeah, you are the one that you're waiting for. That's the problem that we have, is everybody's waiting for something outside of them to save them. And the reality of it is, all they need to do is go look on the inside and figure out who they are. Once that happens, like you said, the system collapses because their system is based on what we value. Right now, we value their money. We value their money because we don't know what the money represents. The money simply represents our energy. And all they're doing is simply harnessing our energy through their system of commerce and through their system of the money that they have. But if the moment that we realize that their money has no value, and we create our own value, and we know what real value is, which is ourselves, then guess what? Everybody's equal. Because if you have no money, everybody's equal. There is nobody that's living in poverty, because we all know that we are equally here to experience this. And, I agree with you 100% when you said, it's kind of crazy. Here we are alive, and we're the only species on this planet that actually has to live to be here, just to get your basic survival needs, which is crazy. It's insanity. But, when you're living with a bunch of insane people, you're the one that's going to be the one that they're going to look at and say, "Oh, you're crazy," and you're the only sane one on the island.
Yeah. Well, I consider myself a little crazy most days, and that's a good thing. It's like I tell everybody, don't worry, you'll get over me. I did. But anyway,
define normal, right?
Exactly. And let's get to solution here. The solution is very simple, and Tony is the better one to talk about it than I. But for me, the true solution is the 0-point energy. Once we have that, and we do now, with Kesha and Eric Dollard and so many other beautiful minds out there that have brought this forward. You got Dave LaPointe with his Primer Field series that he's got going, exposing the universe for what it really is and how powerful we are individually and collectively. You know, we are all equal in that regard, and I'm talking universally here. This is not just every man or meat stick is equal. No, no, no. Consciousness is equal, you know, and we've just got some, you know, degraded parts of our consciousness, you know, those little demons within ourselves. When I look out at all the woes and ills of the world, I'm looking at, okay, that's a demon within me that I have to find and heal, and you know, and take responsibility for it. But everyone's going, well, that's not my department. You'll have to talk to automotive, you know. Sorry, you are automotive. You are grocery. You are, you know, the dairy. You are all the sections in the cattle shop called Walmart or whatever the hell those places are called. But again, it's self-responsibility. It's self-awareness. It's know thyself. That's my family motto, for crying out loud. I was born to do this. I was born on the day the Magna Carta was signed, for crying out loud. So it's like, you know, these aren't coincidences. These are meant to be. So I just looked for my clues, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I got to do this, and this, and well, here I am. You know, loving every minute of it, apparently. Anyway, no, it's see, the joy I get is when you, Aaron, and we have Hugh and with John calling in, everybody that makes themselves part of this. That's the joy I get, because I know that I'm hearing all these beautiful voices of ration sanity that is, there are no words for it. So yeah, the pay sucks. I get basically nothing doing this, but the rewards are priceless. And these are karma coins. These are what I collect. And I got a big pile now, apparently. So anyway, I'd like to know where they are, but again, the only thing we leave when we leave this experience, the only thing we leave with, and I watched my dad leave, and I felt him leave, and it was watching birth in reverse. He left with his good deeds. That's all you leave with, the experience. And then, you know, we go into the next level of the video game, and we take, you know, all those, that's a save point, right? You take all of that you've garnered to that point, and you move on to the next game. You know, so I just want to make the next game probably the best ever, you know. So it's about sucking it up, guys. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We need to be the ones to make the choice to say, I've had enough. I'm not paying your taxes. I'm not buying your bullets, Mato. I'm not killing 9-year-olds by blowing their jaws off and letting them suffer because there's no medical, you know, supplies there to help. That was in Libya. I'm not going to take part in that. I'm not going to be part of your wars going around the world killing brown people looking for brown liquid in the ground. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be part of it anymore. I'm not buying your bullshit. And you can do all you want to sell me on it, but I'm done. I've had enough.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, and that's where we need to get other people, because the only thing that keeps that energy going is the people.
And that's why I love the listeners that we have on these shows, because I know that every night I'm talking to kindreds. I'm not talking to an Alex Jones crowd. I'm not talking to a Howard Stern crowd that's looking for the next best drama. And mind you, we do have our drama nights too, but, you know, we keep those to a minimum. But the bottom line is, I take a great deal of, I won't even say pride. It's not pride. I take a great deal of responsibility knowing that I have a responsible listenership. And I hate using that word, but you know what I mean. And equally, I have to be responsible to them. And what I say is what I just speak of my experiences. You know, I don't come theorizing with things. I bring to the table that which I've been through, so that at least I know that my perspective is an honest one. It's coming straight from what I've been through. And I know people listening, yourself and Hugh, we've all had our experiences that gave us our own awakening. And that was a question I asked, I think a couple of weeks ago. I said, you know, I put it out to listeners, you know, what was your moment of awakening? What was that one defining moment that said, hey, what's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only question we have to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Is this the world we want to live in? Or can you imagine something better?
We will have the world that we want. It reminds me, I would say one of the first things that I watched that awakened me I watched Braveheart.
Love that movie. I love that
now,
movie.
I mean, that's been my favorite movie since whenever, and right behind that one is The Matrix. But the Braveheart movie is when I watched that movie, I was like, okay, so here we are. We're in this old town where basically the king is being able to do whatever he wants, tax the people. We have a guy who finally stands up, and he's being given deal after deal after deal, and he keeps turning down the king. Finally, the girl that he falls in love with, after his wife is killed, says, hey, all you need to do is just go bow to the king. And he's going to give you all these lands, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that, and you're going to have this, and you're going to have that. And he looks right at her, and he says, in the most wonderful words possible, is that if I were to give in now, I'm dead already. And that's exactly, and then what happened after that? Oh, he dies and yells freedom, and then the rest is history as far as the impact that he made, the sacrifice that he made, and all the people that he influenced. Okay? And that made a big impact on me, realizing that the system isn't much different now than it was then. We still have these people who seem to think they have the right to energy more than others, because they're in the essential reality. That's the type of universe that we live in. And here was a guy who was not willing to compromise. A lot like you, Kate. You're not willing to compromise what your truth is. He was not willing to compromise and was even willing to die. But when he died a free man. He didn't die a slave like all those other people. They were willing to take whatever scraps the king was willing to give them.
Absolutely.
And he told them, stop taking their scraps. It's yours. You own it. He tried to tell the elders that. They're an island. He tried to tell them, you guys, what are you doing? You already own this. Why are you thinking you got to pay homage to him? Who is he? They never got it.
Nope. And very few will. The way is narrow. And just to let you know, Tracy jumped in here. Sorry, Tracy, I wasn't watching Skype there. So don't take that personal. I just kind of get wrapped up in the board and stuff like that. And then, I better check Skype. Anyway, hi, Trace. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Can you hear me? Am I on?
You're loud and clear.
I am?
You am.
Okay, I wasn't sure there. Okay, what's your guest? Who's your guest?
We have Hugh Charlson.
I know Hugh. I've heard him before. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing tonight, Hugh.
Hello. Thank you.
Hi there.
Club.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. All about supporting life rather than the destruction of. So, who's the guy you're just talking to now?
I was going to say, and the guest caller is Aaron.
Okay, Aaron, I want to call you on something. Hi, you made a point earlier. You made a point that we need to get others. And right there I got kind of excited because you were talking about the 4 agreements, and I am also avid referrer to that gem, that little gem of a book. And so I want to elaborate on that point. I do like to jump in and take things when we say them, they're just kind of rhetorical, and I like to take it deeper because it's a really good point. And I think what we need to do is expand our light. Like, I don't think we can get others, I don't think it's our obligation to separate ourselves in that way and say that we need to get others, because we get excited that we've become aware. And the next thing is to become awakened, I think, to the fact that if we expand our light and we create, more light, we, emit more light and create more monkeys, that just has a biological effect, because we are each a cell, each part of a microcosm of the macro, right, of humanity. Each one of us makes up this collective known as humanity. So as soon as we say we need to get others, we're making a judgment that somebody's not where they're supposed to be. And so that's why I got excited, and I just want to know what both of you think about, taking that concept of being impeccable with our word and realizing the energetic force. And when we say we need to get others, what are we really saying there? Is that correct? Is that what we want to put out? Or do we just need to, expand our light and our love? So because this thing is happening incrementally, right? Just naturally, without our egos, our judgment being involved there. Yeah, go.
Right.
Thanks.
Expanding the light is exactly right with the love, creating that new paradigm that we've never had, but also as far as getting others, not getting them, but empowering others, collaborating with others and in their areas of interest, to give incentives to them to tap into their creativity, but most of all, to stand as way showers. If somebody told me a few years ago what I would be doing, I would say you're completely crazy, but I was blessed with an earth angel for a wife who blessed me with the lesson of unconditional love. I wouldn't even be speaking with you if she hadn't done that for me. So that's where we have to just tell our stories to each other, and that's bringing others into the fold, but again, in whatever way we can, to just show them ways that they can change and empower themselves. That's
yeah, but see, Hugh, what I feel there, this is what I want to take it to another level.
Okay, Tracy, we got like 4 minutes left here, so I need to jump in here. You need to check in earlier to get going on this. My God, you keep doing this to me. Wait to the last minute, and then I'm in panic mode. Just a quick shout out to everyone, to all the listeners. Thank you guys so much for being who you are. You are the light. You are the one that I've been waiting for. So thank you for that. That bolsters me up. I want to thank Critical Mass Radio, Paul and Lisa and the crew at Critical Mass for giving us this platform that we can do this every single night, except Mondays because we're on QL Television. But Aaron, are you on Facebook? I had a question.
Yeah. I'm on Facebook.
What is your Facebook? And get ready for some tags.
We're already friends.
Okay, then
on Facebook.
Okay, then I'll dig you up, and it's AARON, yes?
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure I had that right. So I'll make sure that those looking for you will get that.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh no, Tracy. I just wanted to say that I totally appreciate where you're coming from, and I agree with you 100%. As far as what you're talking about, as far as impeccable with your word, and the fact that what we need to do is have our light increase to so that more people so that we're all in the light, in creating this world and this experience the way we all want it to be.
Perfect.
Yeah, for sure. I just like to catch up myself, and I like to share. I like to think of it as just sharing. But I do love that book, and I really hold it close to my heart. And it's like it saved me a lot from, being distorted from the light, being out of alignment. And so I do like to refer to it and catch when we say rhetorical things, like we need to get others, because we don't need to do that. We don't need to do or effort anything. We just need to be and amp up our light, and then others will be attracted or repelled from that, because it's all about the paradox.
Yes, you always attract what you are, not what you want.
Exactly. And we got like 2 minutes left here. Hugh, I just want to say a great big thank you for coming on tonight, and feel free to call in whenever. You know that. You already knew that anyway. It's wonderful to have big hearts that show up. And I also want to do a shout out for Greg of In5D. Great article you put out today. You put out some beautiful stuff, my friend, so keep up the good work. And so many of us working towards the same solution with the same intent, and that's where it counts. And I don't care what you want to label it, call it opt, call it whatever you want. I just don't want people to ever lose sight of the intent. To hell with the carrots, guys. Let's go with the intent. And the intent is to take this shitty system down where we can start creating from a place of love, compassion, honoring each other as we honor ourselves. And that, for me, is the only solution that is going to get this place exponential, where we get to be the dancers of our own dance, finally.
I love you, Kate.
I love you too.
Okay, good night.
Good night, you. And Aaron, thank you so much for calling in. Of course, John Galt, who called in earlier, always a pleasure to have him on too.
Yes, thank you, John. Awesome.
Yeah, you see, I'm blessed. I mean, these rewards are priceless, and we can have these gatherings where beautiful people get together, talk about beautiful things, and end up with beautiful results. So thank you all for that.
Okay, thanks, Hugh. Thanks, Eric. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. God bless everyone.
Yep.
Indeed. And don't forget, you can look up Hugh on the Internet. It's just as easy as Googling his name, Hugh Traulsen, Traulsen. And anything you want to add, Hugh? We still got about 15, 20 seconds.
My wild and crazy life, probably the best interview recently was Hugh Traulsen, Synchronistic Encounters. Nice title.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure I grab the link and get it all through Facebook so people can get a hold of it. And we just went into the recording aspect, guys. So great job. Thank you so much for chiming in. And
and you're in my prayers too, Kate.
Absolutely, and vice versa. I'll be your mirror as you are mine. Promise. Okay, so again, a great big thank you to everyone listening tonight, and for all those that are downloading, they'll get to hear this part of it. And I guess we'll see you back in the air on Tuesday. I'm not sure who Tony has lined up, but I'll figure that out. We're on QL Television tomorrow night from 7-ish. Johnny's always runs a bit late, so anyway, 7-ish to whenever. It's an hour long. Okay, so much love, you guys, and thanks again for being who you are and what you do. You have changed my world, and for that I will be eternally grateful. Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Sure beats Howard Stern any day of the week, huh? Take care, you guys.